Once upon a time, these were the images that defined the public face of the Aam Aadmi Party. Arvind Kejriwal flanked by Prashant Bhushan and Yogendra Yadav. In many ways, Arvind the political face, Prashant the legal voice and the conscience of the party, and Yogendra Yadav the public intellectual face of the Aam Aadmi Party. But is the Aam Aadmi Party now at war with itself? As a battle of letters emerges, it points to serious differences of thinking and also perhaps of personality clashes within the party. Joining us now for his first television interview, in fact his first proper interview since this crisis erupted in the party. Let's go across live to Palampur, where Prashant Bhushan is joining us from the Sambhavna Institute of Public Policy, where he is presently far away, as it were, from the political tremors of Delhi. Thank you so much, Mr. Bhushan, for your time this morning. Let me start by asking you, how serious is the crisis? Do you believe that because of these differences in approach, in perspective, in ways of thinking, the party that you helped found is now at risk of splitting?
Well, the issues are very serious. The issues are the basic ideals and principles on which the party was founded, which were the principles of transparency, accountability, inner party democracy and Swaraj. And the real issue is that there has been some evidence that the party has slipped from its founding principles and ideals, and the real challenge before the party is to ensure that systems and processes are firmly put in place and adhered to, which will ensure that the party remains true to its founding principles and ideals.
Yes, but you have, what for you is the biggest departure, Prashant, from what you call the defining principles of the Aam Aadmi Party? You have, for example, in your letter raised questions about how the expenses of the Aam Aadmi Party are not publicly declared. Are you suggesting that the bookkeeping of the Aam Aadmi Party is not actually fully honest? And I ask you because there was also controversy during the elections about not checking donors properly, about dodgy companies making donations of 50 lakhs each. You know the controversy. So are you concerned, first of all, that the accounting, the bookkeeping, the financial management of the Aam Aadmi Party is not transparent?
Well, there has been some slippage in the transparency of these issues and even in the systems and processes in place in the party about accepting donations. For example, about those 2 crore checks which came in from companies which later turned out to be shell companies. There was clearly a lapse on our part in not checking out those companies before we accepted those donations. There have also been slippages in terms of putting out our accounts publicly on websites, etc., our expenses on the websites. Now these are, I'm not saying that there is any hanky-panky going on.
Yes.
All that I am saying is that these are systems which need to be firmed up, strengthened, in order to keep us true and correct to the original path of transparency that we had adopted.
You've also spoken about the dangers of a one-person centric approach to politics and how that makes it like every other party. Are you saying that there's a danger of a cult status, in a sense, being acquired by Arvind Kejriwal, a personality-centric politics instead of a policy-centric politics? Has Arvind Kejriwal owned the political space so effectively that the Aam Aadmi Party is now a one-man party?
Well, there is certainly a great danger of that happening within the party, and that's what we need to guard against, because we had not made this party in order for it to become like any other political party where there is a high command culture, where one person calls all the shots and everything is left to the high command. That's not the kind of party that we had set out to create. Thousands and lakhs of volunteers have spent enormous amount of time and effort in order to create this kind of party, in the hope and belief that this would be a different kind of party. which would function on the principles of inner party democracy and Swaraj with decentralized decision making. So therefore, there is certainly a serious danger that this particular major ideal and principle of the party is at risk of being compromised.
You know, there are old colleagues of yours like Shazia Ilmi who joined the BJP objecting precisely to, in a way, what you're suggesting, describing Mr Kejriwal to be dictatorial, autocratic in his approach. Do you believe that Arvind Kejriwal is autocratic, that he's anti-democratic, that there is no inner party democracy anymore in the Aam Aadmi Party?
No, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that, in fact, I've had this discussion with Arvind many times. I've told him that, look, Arvind, you have very remarkable qualities which make you out to be a unique leader. But you must also recognize that you have some weaknesses. And he says, yes, I recognize that I have some weaknesses. Every human being has some weaknesses. But I said that, look, we must set systems such that it's not merely your decision or your writ that should prevail in the decision making of the party. And therefore, we must ensure that the party's decision making structures are such that we have a broad-based, independent and credible decision making process and a transparent decision making process such that decisions are taken by a collective rather than by any one person. So we need to put those systems firmly in place in order to ensure that decisions, because though I have always said that I regard his political judgment to be much better than mine, and therefore I normally defer to his political judgment on political issues. But there are certain issues on which I feel very strongly and where I put my views across very firmly. And there are also occasionally some issues of principles or ethics where also I put my views across very strongly.
But what would you describe, as you said, everybody has positives and weaknesses. What do you believe is the fatal flaw, so to speak, of Arvind Kejriwal's approach to politics, or his biggest weakness that is creating disquiet among members such as you and Yogendra Yadav?
Well, I have told him this myself, that Arvind, I believe that you have two serious weaknesses which need to be corrected. One is that you feel that your decision should prevail and should be carried out. I said that though your political judgment is right on most occasions, but sometimes it can also be wrong. And therefore, it is much safer, much better to have a decentralized and collective decision-making process, that we need to have credible, independent-minded people in our decision-making bodies like the Political Affairs Committee, National Executive, etc., who can stand up to you and differ with you and tell you that, look, we feel that you are wrong on this and that this decision should not be taken. This is one issue. And the other issue is that that's a difference in approach maybe. I feel that we have to be absolutely firm on our ethical principles. And Arvind sometimes feels that, look, in politics, you have to make some compromises. You can't do without compromises when you are in the business of electoral politics. Now, that's a difference in view as to how pure and how steadfastly pure you need to be if you are in electoral politics, but that's also an issue on which I feel that his approach may not be correct.
Are you saying, Prashant, that Arvind Kejriwal is now willing to bend on ethical principles that the party, when it started out, would never have been willing to do so? And can you give an example of one such ethical principle on which you took an absolutist position, but he did not?
No, I don't want to go into those details. I'm just referring to this as one of the areas of difference where I feel that we need to be absolutely, I mean, candidate selection was one such issue, but I don't want to get into details of that. Where I feel that we have to be absolutely straight and pure and true to our original founding principles and ideals. And there are people like Arvind and many others who also feel that, look, in electoral politics, you have to make some compromises.
I want to play for you, Prashant Bhushan, an interview I had done with Ajay Markan, a brief excerpt from that, because it speaks to one of the charges that you made in your letter, that Congress support was sought to avoid an election in Delhi. Ajay Markan first said this to us on record, so just hear this and then I'll come to you right away. Ajay Markan on the AAP reaching out to the Congress. Who sent you feelers?
There are many people. I am not supposed, when the feelers comes and say that it has to be, please don't disclose this. I can't be speaking publicly.
So you're saying that Arvind Kejriwal's party sent feelers to the Congress for a pre-poll alliance?
Not pre-poll alliance.
For post-poll support?
No.
What kind of feelers?
For feelers to support them to form the government. I'm saying that
before the election. Oh, you're saying before the election.
So had we supported
So you're
them,
saying the Aam Aadmi Party, before there was a call for fresh elections, asked the Congress for support again.
Yeah, but we refused to support them. And if we support them now, then we should have supported them earlier and formed the government with them.
Now, Mr. Bhushan, when Ajay Markan said this, at the time the Aam Aadmi Party denied it. It's something that has resurfaced very clearly in your letter, and you even speak of a letter being sent to the Lieutenant Governor of Delhi opposing the dissolution of the House. Do you have concrete evidence that your party was in fact in secret or not so secret talks with the Congress?
No, I don't know what kind of, I was not privy to any kind of talks that were being held with the Congress, etc. But clearly that letter which was sent to the Lieutenant Governor is a matter of record. That was also an issue on which there was a difference of opinion amongst members of the Political Affairs Committee as well as amongst members of the National Executive as to whether we should, after the Lok Sabha election, whether we should seek Congress support and form the government again or not.
But this letter to the Lieutenant Governor, did it specifically mention that the Congress and the Aam Aadmi Party could come together?
That letter is a matter of public record. That letter said that the Lieutenant Governor, this was a time when we had filed a petition and our case was going on and was being heard on a weekly basis in the Supreme Court seeking dissolution of the Delhi Assembly. At that time, a letter was sent to the Lieutenant Governor saying that he should defer the dissolution of the Assembly for a week, till we seek the opinion of the people about whether we should again form the government or not. That letter is a matter of public record on which there was a difference of opinion within the party, within the National Executive, within the Political Affairs Committee and amongst volunteers.
But you are saying, and you have said this in writing, your letter is also now a matter of public record, that the Aam Aadmi Party reached out to the Congress to try and avoid a fresh election in Delhi. Is that correct?
Look, I don't want to get into all these details, etc. Whatever is, if you have access to my letter, you can refer to my letter.
Your letter does clearly say that, and therefore I'm quoting from it, Prashant. Let me look at what's happened in the last couple of days. You also have Dilip Pandey, the leader of the Aam Aadmi Party in Delhi, basically saying that Prashant Bhushan and Yogendra Yadav wanted to remove Arvind Kejriwal from his post as national convener. अब मैं आपको साफ-साफ पूछना चाहती हूँ प्रशांत जी कि ये जो आपके ऊपर आरोप लगा है कि आप और योगेंद्र यादव अरविंद को हटाने की एक तरह से साजिश कर रहे हैं, आप उसके बारे में क्या कहेंगे?
ये बिल्कुल निराधार और एब्सर्ड आरोप है. ऐसा कभी कुछ नहीं था. हमारे अरविंद से कुछ डिफरेंसेस हैं और मैंने हर समय ये कोशिश करी कि उन डिफरेंसेस को रिजॉल्व किया जाए और जिन इश्यूज पर मेरा मानना है कि भाई अरविंद की जो वीकनेसेस हैं उनको सुधारा जाए और पार्टी को अपने जो उसूल हैं जिसके लिए ये पार्टी बनाई गई थी, जो कि पारदर्शिता, जवाबदेही, ये स्वराज और इनर पार्टी डेमोक्रेसी, उन उसूलों पर पार्टी कायम रहे. और उसके लिए जहां जहां अरविंद से कुछ डिफरेंसेस होते थे, मैं उससे कहता था कि भाई ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए या ऐसा होना चाहिए. लेकिन अरविंद को हटाने की मैंने या योगेंद्र यादव ने कभी बात नहीं करी।
प्रशांत जी, आपके ऊपर ये भी आरोप है, ये ऑफिशियली नहीं आया लेकिन बहुत से लीडर्स आपकी पार्टी के कह रहे हैं कि यू आर close to the BJP, you're close to ministers like Mr Jetli. ये आरोप भी आए हैं. They are quoting your father Prashant Bhushan ji, who praised Kiran Bedi as a candidate as an example. ये दिलीप पांडे की चिट्ठी में है that the Bhushans wanted to install a BJP government in Delhi.
देखिए, आप मेरे सारे पब्लिक अटरेंसेस निकाल कर देख लीजिए. पिछले 10 साल से मैं शुरू से ये मानता रहा हूं कि बीजेपी एक कम्युनल पार्टी है और बीजेपी भी एक करप्ट पार्टी है, और मैं इसके बारे में हमेशा बोलता रहा हूं. मैंने इसके बारे में पब्लिक इंटरेस्ट पिटिशंस भी फाइल करी हैं. अरुण जेटली जी जब पिछले मंत्रिमंडल में मंत्री थे, उनके खिलाफ भी मैंने एक पब्लिक इंटरेस्ट पिटिशन फाइल करी थी, उनके कुछ डिसीशंस के खिलाफ जो एमएमटीसी के चेयरमैन को लेकर. अरुण जेटली जी को मैं जानता हूं क्योंकि वो वकील हैं और मुझसे कोर्ट में मिलते रहते हैं. जब वो अभी हाल में बहुत बीमार हुए थे और उसके बाद करीब करीब ये पता लगा था कि भाई मौत के मुंह से निकल कर आए, जब उसके बाद ठीक होकर अपने घर पहुंचे तो मैं उनसे एज ए कर्टसी कॉल गया था उनसे मिलने. लेकिन कोई ये कहे कि भाई मैं अरुण जेटली से बहुत क्लोज हूं, बीजेपी का समर्थक हूं, ये तो बिल्कुल हास्यास्पद बात होगी, ये तो बिल्कुल एब्सर्ड बात होगी. मेरे सारे पब्लिक अटरेंसेस पिछले 10 साल के निकाल कर देख लीजिए, पिछले 15 साल के.
Do you share your father's assessment of, for example, his praise for Kiran Bedi, his criticism of Arvind Kejriwal that came at the height of the campaign? Did you share his opinion?
No, I didn't share his opinion, and I made my disagreement with him known publicly. It's true that my father, for various reasons best known to him, has developed a view that Arvind is not the fit person to remain the convener of the party, but I don't share that view, and I certainly did not share his view that Kiran Bedi was a very good person and that this was a master stroke, etc. I had publicly and immediately expressed my disagreement with him.
Prashant, we did not...
He is his own person, I can't help him.
We did not see you campaigning in the Delhi elections. Why was that?
I did campaign. I did go to a couple of rallies. Firstly, I was very busy in the courts during that time. And secondly, to confess, I was quite unhappy with the manner in which selection of candidates had taken place. And therefore, my heart was not really into campaigning for many of these candidates.
Your letter that we have accessed also speaks of how there was one candidate who was made to be the fall guy for communal posters that the party had put up. Now, this is a very serious charge, Mr. Bhushan, because Amanatullah Khan of Okhla, whom I believe you refer to, has actually got a lot of flack for his communal politics. Are you saying the Aam Aadmi Party actually endorsed those politics, was responsible for those posters and put the blame on him?
Look, I don't want to get into any of these details, etc. These are really matters now for the party. I had given a letter to the national executive on this issue also, and that's for the national executive to address.
Now, this authority that has been given to Arvind Kejriwal to reconstitute the political bodies of the party, isn't this very much like the Congress authorizing Sonia Gandhi to take all decisions?
Well, this has not been any formal decision as far as I know of the national executive. In the national executive meeting on the 26th, there was such a proposal put forward by a couple of people, but there was no such decision taken on that. After that, there hasn't been any formal meeting of the national executive. I believe there was an informal meeting of some of the members of the national executive on the 27th, in which I wasn't there. in which perhaps some such, according to the newspaper report, some such discussion might have taken place. You see, the important thing in this is, it is irrelevant as to who should be in the National Executive or who should not be in the National Executive or in the Political Affairs Committee. What we require, there are a very large number of people who have been attracted to this party because of its founding principles and ideals. Very, very idealistic, honest, public-spirited people who have been attracted to this party on account of its founding principles. There is a large pool of excellent people to draw from for the National Executive and the Political Affairs Committee. But what is important, what is most important is that this party's decision-making structure should be democratic and broad-based. And you can't have, this party can't follow this high command culture which other political parties follow, that every decision should be left, everybody kneels before the high command and says that we have left every decision to the high command. This can't be the culture of our party.
Dilip Pandey's letter actually officially calls for action against you and Yogendra Yadav. There's a big rumor here in Delhi that you and Yogendra Yadav could find yourselves removed from the major decision-making body of your party. If that happens, would you be leaving the party? Would you resign? Do you believe that there will be official action now against you and Mr. Yadav?
You see, it is irrelevant whether Yogendra Yadav and I remain in the Political Affairs Committee or in the National Executive or not. That is not the issue. The real issue is whether the party remains true to its founding principles and ideals, whether the party remains transparent, committed to proper accountability, committed to principles of inner party democracy and Swaraj. If the party remains true to that, it is irrelevant as to who remains in the NAC or in the Political Affairs Committee.
But if you are removed...
But if those principles are compromised...
Yes.
No, if we are removed, that is of no consequence.
Okay.
If the party firmly goes on the path of other political parties and adopts this high command culture where everything is left to a high command, then certainly I can't have anything to do with such a party.
Are you considering leaving the party, Prashant Bhushan?
No, I am not considering leaving the party. I am here, I see my role in the party only to keep the party committed to its founding principles and ideals. I am not a full-timer with the party. My main role is in the courts where I have been doing a lot of public interest cases. That's my main role. My role in the party, as far as I am able to do, is only to try and ensure that it remains committed to its original founding principles and ideals. That's what the volunteers and a large number of people who helped form and who supported the formation of this party want me to do. To the extent that I can continue to do that, I will do that. The moment that I come to believe that this party is now irretrievably on the path of other political parties, following the same kind of high command culture, bending its ethical principles, not having transparency, etc., on that day, I will have no option but to leave the party.
Has that day come?
No, not yet. Certainly not.
Now, one of the other charges against you and Yogendra Yadav is supporting the group of volunteers who actually in the campaign had the press conference to talk about the shell companies that donated the 50 lakh rupee checks that became such a big political issue. The allegation is that you and Yogendra Yadav were in a sense supporting and propping up the group of volunteers that brought up the issue of controversial donations.
That is totally false. One of these volunteers who was at that time supposedly the leader of this group called Awam, he had been expelled by the Delhi disciplinary committee from the party, and one of the charges leveled against him was that he had sent an SMS to the volunteers saying that they should join the BJP. He appealed to the National Disciplinary Committee, which I was heading, saying that, look, I have been repeatedly saying that I have not sent this SMS and the party should investigate this as to who sent this SMS. Unfortunately, he said that the party has refused to investigate it, and he came to me, to the National Disciplinary Committee, that you please have this matter investigated, etc. Now, as the chairman of the National Disciplinary Committee, I asked people in the party that this is a matter which needs to be investigated. But unfortunately, there was no willingness to get this matter investigated. Ultimately, I told Karan Singh that, look, I can't have this matter investigated. You can have it investigated in any way that you can. And thereafter, I believe he lodged an FIR about this. And thereafter, it seems that the police did some investigation. And in that police investigation, it appears that it was found that there was somebody called Deepak Chaudhary,
yes,
who apparently was not related to Awam and who was probably one of the volunteers of our party who had sent that SMS.
Okay, a tweet by Ashutosh of the Aam Aadmi Party says this is a clash between those who are ultra-left and want a referendum in Jammu and Kashmir, clearly a reference to you, and pragmatic politics of welfareism. I'm quoting this verbatim. Your views on Jammu and Kashmir were seen to have caused a big problem within the party. Arvind Kejriwal repeatedly having to saying these are not the party's views. How do you respond to this description of the present crisis, a clash between the ultra-left and the politics of pragmatic politics of welfareism?
I don't know where Ashutosh is bringing up these issues from. These have never been the subject of any discussion within the party for the last since the party was formed. I mean, he is referring to my views of some 3.5 years ago, which I had expressed 3.5 years ago. They have never been ever discussed in the party. This has never been an issue in the party. In fact, one of the problems has also been that we had formed some more than 30 policy committees of the party to formulate the policies of the party. Those 30 odd expert committees gave their reports about these policies more than 1.5 years ago. But unfortunately, the party has not found the time to discuss and those reports of those expert committees and formulate the policies of the party so far.
Okay.
This has been one of the issues that I have referred to, or Yogendra ji and I had also referred to this issue in the National Executive.
Let me ask you one last question in the end. Disturbing reports in the Indian Express this morning that one of the phone conversations between an Aam Aadmi Party leader and a journalist were recorded without her consent, where she's asked to reveal her source about a story that was seen to be critical of the Aam Aadmi Party. Are you disturbed to hear this? I mean, should a journalist's phone conversation be recorded by a political person? And the aim or the motive is not clear either, but they are claiming that this conversation will expose you and Yogendra Yadav.
You see, I have said, and Yogendra Yadav have also said, that let any allegations or complaints against us be referred to the party's Lokpal, and let him inquire into these complaints.
The Lokpal has written a very strong letter as well, Admiral Ramdas, and he's flagged many of the issues you are. He's also talking, and this is something that I must bring up, about no women in the first ministry, as it were, the first cabinet of Delhi. Is that something that bothers you?
Well, we certainly need to broad base our decision-making bodies. For example, there are no women in the Political Affairs Committee either. There are hardly any women in the National Executive either. So we certainly need to broad base that, because that's written in our constitution itself, that we need to have at least 25% women.
Yes.
So therefore, certainly and now we do have a pool of very good people and women and others to choose from, and therefore these structures need to be broad-based.
Do you believe that tomorrow you and Yogendra Yadav will still be part of the Aam Aadmi Party. You've just said it's inconsequential if we are dropped from the Political Affairs Committee. But you've also said that if the party continues to stray from its principles, encourages a high command culture, a one-man-centric approach, bends its ethical principles, you will not stay associated with it. Do you believe tomorrow there could be action against you? And do you believe there will be a split in the Aam Aadmi Party, that danger is now imminent?
Well, I hope not. I hope not. I don't think so. I think that the vast majority of the volunteers and people who helped found this party want the party to remain united, want the party to remain committed to its founding principles and ideals.
Has Arvind Kejriwal reached out to you? Has Arvind Kejriwal reached out to you? Have you spoken to him at all in the last few days?
No, unfortunately, that has not happened. That's a bit unfortunate. There has been, unfortunately, somewhat of a breakdown of communication.
So you and Mr. Kejriwal are at the moment not talking to each other?
Well, for the last few days we have not, but I am certainly open and willing to talk to him or anybody else in order to resolve these problems. As I said, you see, we had made systemic, we had said that there are systemic reforms that need to be made within the party, in the systems and processes of the party.
Yes.
And those are the things which need to be taken up and put in place.
Okay. I guess the next few days will reveal a clearer picture. Important issues being flagged by you and Yogendra Yadav. The Aam Aadmi Party, in a sense, perhaps needs to have a dialogue with itself, even as it sets up dialogue commissions for Delhi. Prashant Bhushan joining us live from Palampur from the Sambhavna Institute of Public Policy. Thank you so much for your time today.